Welcome to another week of MetaPhy.
Let's go!
Good morning, everybody. Thursday, December 7th. And we're in for another week of strange, witchy news from around the world. And actually, I say it's from around the world, but to be honest, the only countries that seem to be having a problem right now with witches are Africa and Nigeria. Them bitches hate witches. I'm here to tell you. But there's some interesting things. And we also have a comment that I actually missed last week that I'm going to do this week at the end after we go over the news from a viewer. So we're going to talk about quantum jumping and whether or not you can jump into a reality where you are rich. All right, let's see what I got on the desktop. We have Akufo Addo back in the news. He's been in the news the last couple of weeks. This is still an ongoing issue. His decision, which he still maintains his decision not to sign Witchcraft bill, is being deemed unconstitutional. The Parliament must sue him, says Sam George. Now remember, they had a guy in there who was on board, ready to go, but before he had a chance to sign the bill, he got promoted or got moved to a different position. And now, the new guy says no. His decision to withhold his signature from certain critical bills, including the Witchcraft bill, has stirred discontent among the members of Parliament. Many of these lawmakers are calling for legal action against the president, arguing that his decision is unconstitutional. He believes that allowing this precedent to persist might set a troubling example for future presidents. Yeah, I do agree with that. Samuel Narty George says, I hold the view that the actions of the president are unconstitutional and even constitute grounds for impeachment because the president is flouting the Constitution in such a blatant manner. How can a witchcraft bill be interpreted by the president to be financial matters? And for those reasons, the president arrogates to himself powers that he does not have. So they're calling for his impeachment. Goodness. In July, and this is what it stems from. In July, Parliament approved the Armed Forces Bill, which aimed to amend sections of Act 29 and the Armed Forces Act of 1962, Act 105, to replace the death penalty with life imprisonment. The Criminal Offense Amendment Bill 2023 also aims to prohibit the act of declaring, accusing, naming, or labeling an individual as a witch, among other related matters. However, in a letter addressed to the Speaker of Parliament and read to the House on Monday, December 4th, the President argued that the bill sponsored by the NDC MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, must originate from the executive and not a private member's bill. So he's not saying that he's not going to sign it. He's saying, look, you need to present it to me in the correct way. Is it red tape? It's freaking blood red tape. But such is the world. So, breaking news. Oh, check it out. I want one of those. That's pretty cool. In breaking news, Witchcraft claims derail search for a missing 2-year-old. I believe this is Nigeria. I believe. When Miss Glinda Sebelu left her 2-year-old daughter at home to fetch water from the nearby river, she had no idea it was going to be the beginning of a heart-wrenching search for her toddler. Little Princess Sebonkosi Nkubi, right, who celebrated her second birthday in October, was last seen in the early morning on Monday, November 20th. She was in the company of her 9-year-old brother. Miss Siblou instructed the brother to take his sister to their grandmother's homestead, which is about 300 meters away. About an hour later, upon return, Miss Siblou discovered the two had not set foot at their grandmother's homestead, and she started frantically searching for them. And this was only the beginning of the harrowing ordeal. Search party, consisting of Siblou and her immediate neighbors, started scouring the area for the kids. And as we all know, the first 48 hours when children go missing are very crucial, and their survival begins to drop drastically after that. The initial search team was Miss Siblou and 5 women scouring the neighborhood, as they had hoped the children were just somewhere close by playing. However, this went in vain, and Miss Siblou began to dread the thought of her children spending the night hungry. She didn't sleep the first night my children disappeared. How could I, knowing that they were somewhere out there and couldn't come home? He usually carries his sister on his back to go to their grandmother's, she said. 24 hours later, the kids were still missing. And on the second day, a dazed and confused boy was found wandering in the forest about 6 kilometers from the home. He was so far away from the village, I still wonder how he found himself so far away from home. And when they asked him where his sister was, he said she was sleeping under a tree. So this gave Miss Siblou a bit of hope. Now here's where it gets cray-cray, okay? The search party, however, stopped looking for the missing toddler last week after disagreements between villagers and the family emerged. Gogo Mlashwa says some of the villagers accused her being the grandmother, of witchcraft. Some of the villagers started saying I should stop wasting their time and tell them where my grandchild is, because I killed her and stashed her body in the refrigerator. I was so hurt for being labeled a witch, so I asked them to stop. Local leadership says the village will continue to search. The little girl is missing. For us to concentrate on accusations or counter accusations is just wrong. In other words, they don't want to be addressing rumors. They want to just find the little girl. 2 arrested for starving cousin to death over witchcraft in Nasarawa. Yeah, what was it the other day on my other podcast? I said Chinese was a hard language to learn. I think I might change my mind. I believe this is in Africa. 2 men have been arrested by police in Nasarawa State for allegedly locking up their 35-year-old cousin and starving him to death over allegations that he was a witch. Muhammad said the police received information on November 30th that the deceased Muhammad Sani had his hands and legs tied and locked away in his room, where he was allegedly starved to death. And Muhammad said the family hurriedly buried the remains. One Haba Yusuf was arrested for allegedly defiling a 5-year-old girl. The victim's mother reported the case to the police. Preliminary investigation showed that he had done what they said he had done. So the guy was kind of off his rocker to begin with. And remember, all the links to these articles will be below. This is another village in Africa. Witchcraft allegations, elderly left to die. Number of elderly have been murdered across the country on witchcraft allegations. The latest case, an 89-year-old Benwell Chabwera from Kasamba, one village and traditional authority, Samoni, in the district is not only cruel but inhumane. His grandchild died in the village, and he was immediately accused of being responsible. Facing possible threat to his life, Chabwera escaped and took refuge at a police station in Zalika roadblock. What is surprising is that even his family had disowned him. Nation on Sunday quotes his son, Fastatoni Chabwera, as claiming that the old man practiced witchcraft. Fastatoni's conviction is based on the fact that he, Benwell, failed to visit his grandson when he was sick. Fastaton said, if his father comes back, he'll be killed. His sister, Esnarth, also does not want him after being accused of having a hand in the death of their mother. We do not want him here, and we cannot visit him at the police, she said. The issue of the elderly being murdered on witchcraft allegations has been there for a while, and it seems there's no end. The Malawi Network for Older Persons Organizations, MNEPO, country director Andrew Kavala, puts the whole blame on the government. He claims that it's not enacting a legislation that can protect the elderly. Kavala says it, meaning the killing of the elderly for witchcraft, is something that can be the thing of the past if the government would just show interest. There is an older person's bill which, if enacted, can help to protect them, but government is silent on the matter, which one can conclude that there is no political will. In other words, there's no incentive to pass this bill. See, it's not just us, folks. He also expressed worry over delays in concluding cases of people that are suspected to have killed elderly on witchcraft allegations. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It's just they just have to allege. And here's the thing, it's not the government. And in all these cases, I hope you notice, it's not the government that's killing these people for being witches. It's the people that are killing the people for being witches. I think, to me, that's the scariest scenario, if you ask me. And again, let's just all give thanks that those of us that live in free countries don't have to worry so much. Not that there's not whack jobs out there, but we don't have to worry so much. All right, today we have a question from a viewer. Autumn's Oracle wrote 2 weeks ago, because I missed it last week. Sorry, Autumn. Love hearing you talk about the quantum so much. Would love to hear you talk about quantum jumping. What do you think of the idea of trying to jump to a reality where you are rich? Do you think it's our shadow that gets in the way? Like we can't fully believe we're going to wake up rich tomorrow due to our past? Or do you think it just doesn't work that way? Super great question, and I took some time to study up on this because I study lightly about the concept in my book, but I don't go into it in detail, as I don't go into a lot of things into detail in my book. My book, both of those books, whether it be The Quantum Witch or whether it be The Quantum Awakening, are meant to make you look further. Okay? They're meant to introduce to you concepts. They're meant to lead you in directions. Okay? It's up to you to fit those into your own reality the best way that you can. Okay? But we are, in my classes this January, are going to go into detail on lots of things. And Autumn, I want to thank you again because it made me write out some lesson plans. So I'm just gonna read. I'm just gonna go off some of these lesson plans to explain to you a little bit more in detail. Okay, about my interpretation. I'll just say that my interpretation of how quantum jumping fits into this whole thing. So firstly, let's talk about what quantum jumping is, because you never know. People interpret things differently. So I'm going to put it into the context of my explanation, okay? So it's the ability to shift or move between parallel realities or dimensions. Now, we're gonna use parallel universe, parallel reality, other dimensions, dimensional travel, all to mean the same. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. So the idea is, can we jump into a parallel reality where we are rich? Okay. Now this is going to be grounded in the principle that our thoughts and our beliefs and our intentions, which is all I preach about, that they can shape your experience. And I know they can. I'm proof they can. See, that's the thing. I'm not just writing it in a book. I want people to see how I live and to see this is real, okay? The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Now, the question that arises is, does our belief systems, which I talk about, because yes, they do. Yes, they do. Beliefs, what did you say? Do you think our shadow gets in the way? Like, we can't fully believe we're going to wake up? Absolutely. Absolutely, it gets in the way. And I talk about that in my book. For instance, okay, past experiences and societal conditioning, okay, our culture, along with our personal beliefs, and mostly our personal beliefs about money, okay, absolutely will create doubts and put blockages on that manifestation. Because the key, and this is the key to the manifestation is believing it, living it. I'm already there. I'm already there. It's not easy, but I know it can be mastered because I have mastered. I want for nothing and I have all that I need, and I want for nothing and I have all that I need. I don't know how much more to prove it. And we'll go over more into detail into the mechanics and the rules governing the process of quantum jumping as it is defined to this point by scientific principles. But quantum jumping to a reality where one is rich involves a blend of metaphysical concepts and quantum principles, exploring the potential influence of consciousness on shaping reality. However, the nuances of the subconscious beliefs and the nature of reality itself and the mechanisms governing such shifts remain open to interpretation and subject to ongoing exploration and debate within the metaphysical and quantum communities. What I'm saying is, who the fuck knows? But you're right. It is your belief. But I will also go over what quantum jumping is, okay? And the foundation that fits into the understanding of quantum mechanics. And we will go into, there's a few interpretations. You have the many worlds interpretation, which contains some aspects of the Copenhagen interpretation, which suggests that the possible outcome of a quantum event actually occurs in different realities. So the theory of quantum jumping states or dictates, interprets that doesn't matter about your shadow self, okay? Because you have a reality where you're rich, you have a reality where you're poor, you have your reality where you're fine, you have a reality, you have an infinite amount of realities of where you exist in one state or the other, okay? So the reality that you are rich already is there. It's just a matter of jumping to it, where the study goes into what you're saying, that shadow gets in the way. So this is what, here's the thing about quantum occultism or quantum metaphysics, okay? Every time you learn something, okay, like you learn quantum entanglement, you learn superposition, okay? Every time you learn something, bam, a door opens and 500 new questions come, okay? For eternity. This study, it'll go on forever, because we will never be able to completely answer some of these questions. And we will never be able to completely prove some of these theories. Okay? Some of them are proved. Some of them we do know. Okay? Those are the ones I write about in my book. The ones that, hey, this is old news. We know this far. Okay? These interpretations have already been dealt. But then when it comes to quantum jumping, when it comes to some forms of divination, okay? When it comes to how we go into the quantum sea and what we can do there, and how does our ego really, what's the role? We know the role, but how does it, what is its relationship exactly to spirit? These are the questions, okay, that probably are never going to get answered. But we do our best, and we study, and we keep going forward, and we keep getting downloads. And when you, here's what I tell you, my advice on getting downloads. I told this to a friend of mine, Derek, okay, good friend of mine, and we were talking about this, and he was talking about, I just know. And I get that, because I am that way as well. But what I do is, when I get those downloads, I get on here and I research, because this, I guarantee you are not going to get a download that can't be proven in some form. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. You are not going to get a download that you cannot prove and cannot get some reinforcement, validation from. And that validation may come from research. That validation may come from a guru on YouTube who sits in front of you and says exactly what your download was, and you have no idea who this guy is. That's confirmation, okay? So know this. And that is what I'm hoping to do with my books, is to open that door so you can start getting these downloads. Okay? Because your spirit knows what it wants to study, knows the path it wants to take, knows what it wants you to learn. It just has to be able to get you the lesson plans. Anyway, I'll quit rambling. It's a very passionate subject, in case you haven't noticed. Listen, thanks so much this week for joining me. And if you're at this point in the video, thanks for watching this far, all of it, because I do appreciate it. And I would like you to like and subscribe, because it does help my channel. I do this for a living, create content on like 8 or 9 different social medias. Um, so it helps. And you can't monetize on YouTube till you're at 1,000. So please like and share, and I promise these will get better. And also, what do you want to talk about? Questions you want to talk about? Anything. Write them below. So like and subscribe, and thanks again. I appreciate your support so much. Nana the Witch out.